All right, welcome into another Deep Dish Sports video interview podcast. My special guest here today, Rapheal Davis, former Purdue Boilermaker. Now he's doing stuff with podcasts, and everybody on Twitter is loving your work, man. And you're doing some basketball camp stuff too. First of all, man, thanks for taking some time today. I appreciate it.
Oh, no, thanks for having me, man. I appreciate the opportunity. Let me be able to talk about some of the things I got going on.
Let's talk about your hat first. You're a Reds fan? What's going on up there?
No, this actually my grandfather passed in September.
Okay.
And this is his hat, one of his favorite hats. So
all right,
I've actually been wearing it almost every day since he passed. So yeah, I do a lot of my podcasts and stuff in it.
Understandable. Very good. I kind of want to, everyone that's watching this right now knows who you are. So I don't need to introduce you and tell them everything. If someone's watching this, they don't know who you are, I think they probably stumbled on the wrong podcast and they can go find something else. But anyways, so I guess the two big things you're doing now are some of the basketball camps and the podcast. Let's start with the podcast first. You've had some pretty cool guests on. Where did that come from? Like what made you want to get into that space and kind of do these podcasts and stuff? Where did that all come from?
It's just something I've always wanted to do. I'm a really, really big fan of people like Charlamagne the God, Nori, a former rapper who now has a podcast. Just I've always just been a fan of the podcast industry. I've never been a really, really big music guy. So once a podcast started to hit the market, I kind of just wanted to tune in. But then it's also something I've always wanted to do. And since I've always felt like when guys leave their campus or when guys leave college, I mean, whether they go play in the NBA or not, they don't necessarily always feel the appreciation that I think the fans have for them because of their time in college. Maybe because they didn't end up where they wanted to end up professionally with basketball or what have you. So I just thought it'd be a cool way to kind of give guys their flowers while they're here and kind of show them my appreciation for them, because I'm a big Purdue fan. So to show players my appreciation for them, but also to allow them to see the fans' appreciation is something that's been big for me. Then one of my best friends, Dewan Marrero, he has a podcast. So he really motivated me to start my own as well. So
you've had some pretty cool guests on. I mean, we'll get into, so I've talked to Coach Painter, obviously not like you have, just, in media sessions. And we kind of get a taste of what he's like before the cameras are rolling and after and kind of the stuff like that, but obviously not as to what you obviously know him as. We'll get to your camps in a second, but Coach Painter is a unique coach. I mean, he's perfect for Purdue. And a lot of fans over the years are like, oh, get rid of him. I hope he goes to Missouri, whatever it is. And then you're thinking like, you guys really think that there's a better coach out there than Matt Painter for the situation at Purdue? So I mean, what makes Painter such a good coach?
I mean, his ability to trust others. I mean, his ability to not be stuck in his ways. I mean, when I was there with AJ and Isaac, we led the country in post feeds, paint touches. That next year, they lead. I mean, not that next year, but a couple years later, they lead the country in 3-point field goal attempts. So he's not one of those guys that's just stuck into how he's doing something. He knows who he has on that roster. He recruits his guys. And, I mean, he knows when to adjust. That's a big thing about him. And he trusts his assistant coaches. He's not a head coach that an assistant coach wouldn't want to coach for. Well, in my opinion, I've never coached for him, but he's a guy that he looks to his assistant coaches. He trusts their opinion. He takes care of his staff, in my opinion. So he's just a all-around good dude. And dudes just like to play hard for Payne because he's honest. And he tells you to your face, if you play hard, you'll play. And when you have that type of level of honesty, I mean, it just leads for success.
Going back to, kind of what you said about him adjusting and stuff, I think when you look at this year's team, I mean, you said obviously from the paint touches to the 3-point shooting, and now I think one of the biggest things that, other than Carson, when Carson came in, there wasn't a single guy that it seemed like could create his own shot like Carson could. And then now you see what Jaden can do and what Brandon can do. And, whether or not he obviously recruits these guys with a purpose, right? So he knows what he's going to get coming in, but that's just another way of being able to adjust what he usually has to what he has now.
Exactly. No, I mean, he's always been able to get, I mean, you think about going back to Etuan, I mean, just going back, he's always kind of had that type of guard to be able to go and get a bucket. So, I mean, we had those years where AJ was just that guy to where we didn't need someone to break somebody off the dribble. So, I mean, just getting his guy, always having a shooter. I mean, we're talking to Kendall Shell, played at Minnesota. He said year in and year out, it's like Purdue had the same team, which with different guys. You're always going to have an All-American big. You're always going to have a really fast point guard who can really defend. You're going to have a shooter who can run off of screens. And you're going to have a guard that can break you down. And Paint's ability to kind of stick to that blueprint, I mean, it's that consistency that teams can expect to play against Purdue year in and year out. I mean, it's kind of just worked out.
Let's go back to your basketball camps, man. I know you're doing a lot of work with the kids. Kind of run through kind of what you're doing, what's coming up, and how people can. I'm sure there's parents watching. They've got kids out there, wherever they may be in Indiana. How can they get involved in that as well?
Oh yeah, I mean, definitely go to RaphealDavisBasketball.com. All of our camps are definitely on the website. We have 2 spring break camps in West Lafayette, one for both school districts. March 17th through 20th, then March 23rd through 25th. I believe the Monday through Wednesdays of those spring break, but then also in Fort Wayne for Fort Wayne Community Schools, April 5th through 7th. So it's one of the things where I've always wanted to do basketball, whether it be me playing, but bigger than that, I've wanted to always be a basketball mentor. I've always wanted to be a guy that's just in basketball, giving back to basketball. So having these camps is something that I can give kids what I used to have. I mean, training and going out there and training for an hour is good and it's fun, but I think having camps and being able to play up and down 5-on-5 scrimmage and get out there with people you don't know, that's really where you can really build in basketball. So, and also just for players who can't afford training, I mean, just being quite honest, training is expensive. So if you can't afford training and you want to go to a camp, a high-level basketball camp, you can't afford that. This is the place for you too, because we're building a nonprofit, we're raising money to where if you can't afford it, we'll pay for you. So it's one of the things where we want as many kids come out and get high-level basketball training, whether you're already an advanced player or you're a player who just grew up playing in your backyard without a rim and you just never been able to afford camp. So it's one of the things where I grew up going to camp for free because I was good at basketball. So I don't think finances should stop a kid from going to camp, because we had a camp in Fort Wayne on winter break, and one of our campers, he came for free. He wasn't able to afford camp. And from that camp, he's now the best player on his AAU team in that city.
Nice.
But he wasn't on his AAU team before camp. He wouldn't have been seen if he wasn't at camp. He wouldn't have been able to come to camp if he had to pay for it. You know what I mean? So this kid who no one knew about is now one of the best players in town from a free basketball camp. So
stories like that, man, that there's going to be people out there, parents out there watching, like, man, I'm not able to send my kid to this camp, X camp, Y camp, whatever it is. But they look at your camp and that story and they're like, maybe this is an opportunity for George. I don't know whose kid's name is George, whatever. Some kid named George to go to camp and get noticed and improve his skills.
Oh yeah, for real. Because I mean, that's just all about opportunity. I mean, being in the right place, right time. I mean, a lot of my mentors, a lot of my counsel, they're still in basketball. So they come to one of these camps and they see a kid, they ask about a kid. I mean, there's things that they can't necessarily do because outside of basketball, they have jobs, they have a family. But for me, I can commit my time to basketball, to going into my old neighborhood and finding those kids who are like me and my friends, where my 5 buddies, we all went to college and played basketball. I don't think that's been done and coming out of our neighborhood since, where you think of 5 group of boys who started on the same 5th grade AAU basketball team, where the starting 5 all go off to play college basketball.
Pretty cool.
And they still continue to be friends to this day. So, I mean, we met in 5th grade. We're now 27 years old. We still communicate every day. And now we want to give what we had back to our neighborhood, but also to other neighborhoods across Indiana and the Midwest.
I was fortunate enough to, growing up, going to Gene Katie camp every year. So, that was, looking back, that was pretty cool. Some of the players obviously were,
Cool.
coaches and stuff like that. I think back, and each team would get 1 game in Mackey. So you got 1 game in Mackey. All your other games are Lambert or IAF or whatever else. But you get that 1 game in Mackey. You thought that was the coolest thing in the world, man. So, I think my 5th grade AAU team, 0 of us went on to play college basketball. So that's yeah, I don't think any of us did. Yeah. So, but I played baseball in college, but not basketball.
Oh, that's cool. That's cool.
But yeah, so I mean, the camp, one more time, where can they check out the camp stuff?
RaphealDavisBasketball.com. And then also we have a GoFundMe, and I tweet that all the time at RaphealDavis3. If you want to donate, maybe you don't have a kid to send to camp, or maybe you want to send your nephew or niece or grandchild. If you want to donate, you can donate to the GoFundMe, but also you can donate on RaphealDavisBasketball.com under the donate tab.
Awesome, man. Awesome. All right, let's get into this Purdue basketball team right now. Tough loss last night in Minnesota. Talking with Bobby earlier, talking with, Mike Carmen yesterday. And I guess, one of the big things is, as you know better than anyone, road games in the Big Ten, they're always tough. It doesn't matter if you're going to play Nebraska, if it doesn't matter if you're going to play Penn State or wherever, Northwestern, wherever it is, it's going to be a tough game. And even without fans, I mean, it's still tough going up to the barn. And, especially with the young team like Purdue has right now. And they're games that, you look at the Michigan State game that they came out on top and they won, and the Ohio State game that they won. But then you also look at the Maryland game that they lost and then last night. So one of the big things that comes to mind is you're gonna have these close games. I mean, that's just what it is, regardless of the teams. And you're not gonna win them all. You might, if you're number one team in the country, something like that, you're gonna win them all. But for the majority of the teams, you're gonna lose some of those games. And I guess as long as you win more of those games than you lose, you should be okay. But I mean, it still makes last night tough.
Oh yeah, 100%. I mean, going to the barn is tough. I mean, that not only is it going on the road in the Big Ten, but it's going to play at a completely different style arena. I mean, and fans don't want to hear this, but because they think a gym is a gym, but it's totally different playing in the barn. I mean, it's a complete different feel. The rims are different. The backdrop is different. I mean, some people love it. I want to say it was Robbie. I think Robbie was the story I heard someone that loved the barn, but that's one of the things, you either hate it or you love it. No, I think Robbie hated the barn. I think that's where he got hurt. Maybe that's a bad memory. I got them all over. I don't know, but it's one of those things. You either hate it or you love it, to where you either shoot really well in it or you don't. We shot very poorly last night, but you also see Carr hit that bank shot going in. I mean, because he's just comfortable in that arena. You know what I mean? So going on the road, playing in that type of arena is tough, but I mean, nonetheless, the guys got to be able to close out games. I probably tweeted every game, close out the half, close out the game, because that's where you tell a good team from a great team. I mean, good team, you play, you win it, but the great teams, they know how to put teams away. They know how to get that paint. We do it in practice. 4-minute game. We have a practice. One team may start up at the 4 minutes, one team may start down. Who wins that 4 minutes? And even if you're the team that's starting 5 points down, 7 points down, you want to win that game. You know what I mean? After that 4 minutes is up, you don't look at paint and say, we were down 5 to start. You know what I mean? It's still competing. So it's one of the things we go through in practice. But that's another thing that just comes with time, comes with age. Guys got to get stronger. Guys got to get mentally stronger at the end of the game. But just finishing games is big if you want to grow as a team. That's something that the switch we had when we became a good team our junior year, we started to finish out teams.
You tweeted something out about that last play that was drawn for Sasha. And it just, I don't remember exactly what you said, but what did you say about that play? It's a play you'd seen before, or play someone else had ran? What was that about?
Which one? Where Travion got the
three last night that he missed the three at the end.
Oh no, I wasn't referring to that play.
Oh, okay.
I was referring to the 2 plays. It was 2 plays. The play that when Travion got the ball.
Okay. Right.
I saw that play, and then the full court pass. I knew I saw that. I mean, if you watch it and you pay attention, you can kind of see where it would go. If we needed 3 in that situation, you kind of can see where it would go if Travion catches it. I think the player that it's supposed to go to will be wide open if you go back to it. If Travion catches the ball, if it's a clean pass, if Travion catches at the top of the key, I think it goes to the right. I'm totally guessing, honestly. But I think it goes to the right person, and I think he hits the 3. If you replay it, the guy was open, and I think it'll work out.
It was I guess from the standpoint of just the average fan, people are like, why would you throw a baseball pass? You've got 7 seconds left. I
don't think it was a baseball pass. I think it was just more so rust. I think it was more so a 3-quarter pass to the top of the key.
Okay.
And now I can say, I don't know if Payton drew that up. I just know I've seen that pass before. And I don't know what was going to happen after he caught the pass, but you can kind of see Travion start low and run high to the 3-point line, which looked by design. And my guess is if he caught it at the 3-point line, he was going to make a play for a teammate to shoot a three. And I think, like I said, I think the player that he was making the play for was going to be wide open if he catches it. But I just think Sasha, obviously you're on the road. Sasha's been out with COVID. It's jitters. You rush a little bit. I mean, obviously Sasha doesn't take the ball out on makes during the game. Our forward does. So clearly Sasha took the ball out for a reason. So clearly Payne trusts Sasha to be our inbounder. So it wasn't something that I don't think he made that up in his head. I don't think Payne drew up a bad play. I just think it's a little rushed. It wasn't timed out right. I honestly think if he would have caught it, it would have worked. But honestly, I could be 100% wrong, and Payne could have been pissed. So you never know.
We talked to Sasha yesterday in the media availability, whatever, and he said he was 100% ready to go. It just still seemed, of course he's going to say that and stuff like that. But yeah. I mean, of course I think about like some of these athletes that thinking about like for the Bulls right now, Chandler Hutchison's had COVID and he's going through, like he had some, and Karl Anthony Towns, and Yohan Moncada for the White Sox. And just one of the big things I said was the fatigue, and obviously it affects everyone differently. And you see Sasha, and we've seen Sasha play, and you can tell that he's not tired, not fully back, and he will be in time. And once they get him back, it'll be awesome. But you can tell he's not quite ready to go yet. I mean, 100%, I guess.
Right. Yeah. I mean, the virus is it attacks your lungs in a way that, I mean, you're just not used to. It's not the flu. It's nothing else to where you may feel ready to go because you've been out a couple of days and kind of you ready to get going, and you've been hurt before. You've been out sick before. A week, I'm ready to go, coach. But this is something that you don't know what it does to you. But then also the big thing behind this is that even when, I had strep. We played at Ohio State. I think it was my junior season. I had strep, but I'm still able to go run on the treadmill. I'm still able to go sit in the sun. I'm still able to get all my vitamins from CVS whenever I want to. So it's like now he has to sit in that room. Yeah. Not only are you sitting there, you're probably eating junk food. You're probably just eating whatever in the house. You're getting lazy in the mind because you're bored. So it's one of the things where you just have to not only adjust physically, but back mentally and get mental shape. So, but I'm 100%. I think, just having Sasha out there helps Eric. Just having Sasha on the floor, Eric's playing better offensively. I don't know the correlation. I make up a lot of theories in my head. I don't know, but it seems like Eric is more comfortable when Sasha's out there, whether Sasha's going or not. But once Sasha, like you said, once Sasha gets that going, he's the best shooter in the league, one of the best shooters in the country. It's like to me, I see him as like when we will have Dakota on the floor. He's like a real heady player, plays harder than anybody else, defends at a high level, and just really wants to win. And you add that with just making shots. Any team in the country could benefit from having him on the floor.
You're talking about teams say you get the same exact team. Dakota, you think of Ryan Klein, you think of Sasha. All three guys that shoot the lights out.
You think of Ryan Smith, Kevin Stevens before that. Kind of fist the mold.
Yeah. It's just funny how it works out. We could talk about these individual players. We'd be here all day, but let's kind of move. Looking forward here, they got a couple games left here. I think they're going to get up that Nebraska game made up as well. But Michigan State coming in Tuesday night, and then I don't even know who else. But then you got Wisconsin and Indiana, the last two games in March. Every single one of these games down the stretch are winnable games that they should win. I think they should be favored in every single one of these games. So what is it going to take for, it's one thing to be favored, one thing to be playing home, all this other stuff we talked about. It's the Big Ten, anything can happen, right? 100%. So what do you need to do to, ideally win out, or, maybe they drop one, whatever, but, at least win a majority of these games moving forward to the Big Ten tournament? What's one big key that you see that needs to be, that they need to execute, I guess?
Playing hard for 40 minutes, and then playing hard is just running up and down as fast as you can. But it's like mentally toughness, the mental toughness you have to have for 40 minutes throughout a whole entire game. Rather it be the last 4 minutes of the first half, you have the last 4 minutes of the second half. We start the second half really well most games, and I attested to these young guys that are juniors now. They've been in the big games before. They've been in Sweet 16. They've been in Elite Eight. They've been in behind situations at halftime to where they understand how serious the first 4 minutes of the game in the second half. They know they can win a game in the first 4 minutes of the second half. But this is their time where they're learning that I could lose the game in the last minute, even if I'm up 5. You know what I mean? So learning from that is going to be huge going into the tournament, because this is a team where I think they're better than that team from a few years ago. Carson definitely can score the ball extremely well, but top to bottom, it's a more skilled team. They can play. They can play just as hard, and they're bigger. So it's, and I mean, Travion's better than Travion was then. I mean, they're bigger, they're tougher, and it's just like one of those things where this team could get the right matchups in the Big Ten tournament leading into the NCAA tournament, and they'll be comfortable in both places because it's right in Indiana, to where they can make a run and be really exciting to watch. But if they can't finish the half or finish the game, we'll be frustrated fans, because last night could continue to happen.
All right, man, we're gonna let you go. One more time, let everyone know where they can find your basketball camp information.
Oh, no, I appreciate it, man. Definitely RaphealDavisBasketball.com. You can find our basketball information, any information about our nonprofit foundation. If you want to donate to our basketball camps, our Bigger Than Basketball camp, something that every basketball player that plays basketball in 4th grade won't play basketball in college, won't play basketball in NBA. Like you just said, your 5th grade team, they didn't go play college basketball. But if they attended a camp where they learned about, not saying your friends specifically, but kids in general that just love basketball. Maybe you learn about being a video coordinator in 4th grade. Maybe you learn about being a basketball skills trainer in 5th grade, to where if you're not the player, you still can go and be an NBA GM or be in the NBA and not be the player. So that's why I came up with the Bigger Than Basketball kind of brand behind it. But if you want to donate, RaphealDavisBasketball.com. But I appreciate the time, man. 100%. Thank you.
Yeah, we'll talk soon. Appreciate it, and we'll see what this Purdue team is exciting, man. They're deep. They're talented.
No, I look forward to it.
I
look forward to it. I say this is Paint's. This is Paint's best time. These are the teams I love Paint to have. Young teams. They didn't necessarily start the season with like a key star or anything, but Paint's excellence can show. But I'm excited for this team, man. I think we can make a run.
All right, man. Thank you so much.
All right, thank you.
It's Rapheal Davis, former Purdue basketball player, and doing a lot of good work with basketball camps. And check out his podcast as well.